Here's an update to my TP-XL loadout video. I routinely make changes and tweak stuff and try different things, so once I've got a decent handful of changes, I'll try to post updates to some of my videos. So one series that I wanted to keep up to date is just the loadout series, so you can kind of see what I use on a daily basis. Let me get some stuff out of the way first. I'm going to get my meter out of the way because it's got my contact info on it, but there's my first name, so there you go. But really, I wanted to show this label because with all the fancy label makers out there, it's really easy to underestimate the old school raised letter labels. But they are just tough as nails. I mean, stick to everything I put them on. It practically never fall off. They don't like bleach out, or the letters and stuff don't scratch off because they're raised. And the label makers themselves are just super cheap. I think this one was maybe like 10 or 12 bucks. And they come with rolls of tape that you put in there. So, I mean, just such a great way to label your tools for dirt cheap. All right, I'm gonna get this out of the way. I think I forgot to show a couple things. These aren't changes, these are just things I think I forgot in the last video. I keep this 5/32 Allen key to lock open commercial doors. And then I keep this unibit in here, the style that you can just throw in an impact. But it's just really handy to be able to drill holes whenever you need to. And this thing is so lightweight that it's nice just to keep in your bag. All right, my service wrench, I still keep that in this pouch, but I have it out right now because I'm working on a lot of racks, all right? I moved these strippers, which work awesome for cutting zip ties because they just hook the zip tie and slice it. I absolutely love these things. I do a couple modifications. I ground that off and took off the little gauge because you don't need that. It gets in the way. But I keep them over here now because I got these Milwaukee dikes that so far have been actually pretty impressive. I was really impressed with how sharp they are. So I was able to cut wire rope with these no problem, which is very hard to cut if your jaws aren't sharp and precise and everything. I didn't carry these before because I just don't need them that much, and the pair I had was just too heavy for how much I used it. But when I saw this pair, I was like, well, you know, that's perfect lightweight little pair to throw in my bag, because I'm a service technician, not an installer, so I don't need a lot of the bigger tools like lineman's pliers and things like that. I've got some changes in here as well. I put another core depressor in there. I really like this style. I've got a video on the different styles of these, but this one just works. I really like how coarse the thumb wheel is, so it's very quick to screw in and out. And I found myself sometimes needing it on the suction line, so that's why I've got that in there. And then this Klein Ratchet that comes with these bits here. These are like little stubby bits, which is nice because this is obviously used in tight spaces. One of our apprentices had this, and you know, I messed with it and just really liked it, so I went and got myself one. One of the things that I really like about it is that it's got this knurled thumb wheel, so you can get in there and turn something like that, which is really handy because a lot of times with like sheet metal screws, once you break them loose, you really can't ratchet anymore. It's got a 5/16 drive on that end, and then that's a 1/4. And I found this little loop right here super handy for, you know, just quickly using the ratchet. So that's made by Klein, and I really like this thing. Okay, what else? So I've been using this light and absolutely love it. I did a review on this light, but you can clip it on your hat like a headlight or just use it like a regular flashlight. This case it comes in charges it. So I put that there, and I've got a rag in there to keep it from falling down in that pocket. So that's a good storage for a rag. And then I use these Malco bits as little magnetic pickups. But I keep my screws in there that I use for stripped out holes. So the great thing about these is they're still 5/16, but they're number 12s. So they will, most of the time, work in the holes that are stripped out. And like in commercial, at least, it seems like 95% of the holes on units are stripped out. I have no idea why. It just bothers me so bad. People just being too rough with those impacts, those 18 volts. Try to get this back in there. It's kind of a tight fit. So in order to put this here, I took my clamp out and moved it over here. And this will work fine. You just have to take this clamp and kind of force it down a little farther than it looks like it'll go. And then with this clamp, you really need to put this button facing into here. Because if you do it like that, I found they will cut on in your bag. But if you have the button facing into there, it doesn't seem to ever get hit on accident. So I put those in like that. I took my wrenches. One of my viewers said, you know, why don't you put those wrenches on a carabiner? And that's a great idea. I just don't like having things hanging outside of my bag. And I also kind of wanted a way to get whatever wrench I want off without having to take them all off, which you have to do with the keychain and a carabiner. But it is a great idea, and maybe a little more tidy than this. But these are just lobster claw clamps, and I can take off whatever wrench I want then. And they all just, this is a Snoop bottle I cut down to size. And I think I've got a rag under this as well to kind of raise it up, because these pockets are very low, and it's just frustrating to get things in and out of them. But that tends to work well like that. Oh, what else? I had a viewer suggest these, and I really like them so far. So they've got this kind of weird notch in the front. And unfortunately, they're not going to be great for twisting wires that are any smaller than this. And this is, I don't think this is actually a gauge. I think this is a strand. Yeah, it is, you can see. This is a strand out of a much bigger gauge copper wire. But this is definitely smaller than 14. So you could twist 14 if you wanted to, definitely 12s. But you can't really go any smaller than this. What this is for is like, let me grab something real quick. What this notch is for is like if you have a screw that's got a stripped head, you can actually grab the head of the screw and spin it like that. And these actually really came in handy recently. So one of our apprentices, I was working with him, and we were getting the pecker heads off a big old Copeland semi-hermetic, and the screw stripped out. It's not something he did, it was already like that, and he just could not get it out with regular pliers. So I was like, well, we'll give these a try. I grabbed right on that screw and just spun it right out. So they really did come in handy. I kind of like this profile where they're pliers, but they're kind of needle nose like. It's really interesting. Anyways, that's enough on that. Let's see if there are any other changes. This right here is just a stylus. I like that for control panels, and sometimes when I'm doing a lot on my phone, like maybe flipping through a service manual or something like that. I lost my Milwaukee light. So I went back to my Kleins, and these Kleins are really great lights. I'll get to that in a minute. But as far as hanging stuff on your bag, this can be a good option to run a zip tie kind of through this where your D-ring is, because if you're gonna hang stuff on this and then you've got your shoulder strap pulling up, all your stuff will just be flopping around, hitting doorways and everything else. So this is the way I hang this. I put a piece of sheet metal down here because these aren't magnetic, the ones from the factory, and that just helps that stick out of the way. This is my name tag. I moved it from here to here so that it was more noticeable. But this Klein light, all right, let me get to that now. I really like this light. It is a great working light. You can clip it around conduit. And these magnets, despite them looking small, are very, very powerful. I mean, it pretty much sticks on everything I've tried to stick it on. So once you get it set, you can adjust this way and this way. So it is really nice. It doesn't have mode memory, but it's only high, low, and off. So that's great as well. You can use it to charge your phone or whatever. And it's got a little glow-in-the-dark ring around here, which is not showing up right now. But if it goes out on you, you can find it in an attic or something. I made, I think, one change back here. So I like keeping my tape in here. I don't like having it, you know, flopping around on the side of my bag. That's just a personal preference thing. And I like keeping white tape for labeling stuff, especially, you know, if you're gonna take a part out and leave a bunch of wires hanging everywhere, it's really good etiquette to label your stuff so when another technician comes back, they don't feel like they have to sort through a big sloppy mess. So I keep white tape just rolled around this copper tube because I don't use a lot of it, and having an entire roll in here was just taking up too much space. So that's another change. Here's another thing that I just really love. This is from Klein, at this Stackable Socket Set. And you can also use it in kind of like low profile mode by just throwing it on your Malco bit. But these just stack on here and you can, you know, switch them out. And this does come with the handle, but the cool thing is that it will work. So this is the Klein extendable bit screwdriver, which I absolutely love. But even though this is a different mechanism in here than normal, it will still lock onto this just fine. So you can use one handle for both tools. But I have just absolutely loved having that in my bag. It's like, you know, having most of the sockets you need on a daily basis just right there. I'm gonna go ahead and mention this real quick. So if you were wondering why I've got so many of these, is because I bought them in a pack on Amazon, really to make these key rings. And this is just a little magnetic key ring here. These are amazingly strong. I just bought them because they were on sale, but that's the brand. Anyways, when I've got a site that's got a lot of locked doors, I try to just go ahead and set one of these up for it. And I keep that hooked on my front belt loop. So I just pull it off and unlock the door, and then it sort of finds its way back automatically. So it's really quick. See? Anyways, just figured I would throw that in there as well. All right. I hope that was an interesting video. Feel free to ask me about anything in here that maybe I didn't cover, and I'll try to get back to you. I try to answer all comments.